Hello and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be performing a bearing modification on the Tarantula X6. A great quadcopter, however, the one area that is somewhat weak as it ships is that the brushed motors can have a little bit of resistance, and there is a rather inexpensive fix that can help remedy that. Part of it will require purchase of 3x6x2 bearings readily available anywhere online. Traxxas sells some. These came through Amazon. They're about a $10 price. But with these installed versus the brass bushings that are buried here within the quad, we should be able to reduce the friction fairly substantially, extend battery life, and reduce the wear on these brushed motors. These are not brushless motors, so we do want to try to get as much life out of them as possible. In order to perform this modification, we're going to want ahead and remove one of the screws. We're going to do these props one at a time so we don't confuse them. We're going to go ahead and loosen this screw in the prop. We go ahead and remove this propeller. I'm going to flip it over. Going to remove our prop guard. Get it up and out of our way here. And now, turn the copter over and slide this bushing out. And here you will see the brass bushing that we're going to be replacing. And you can see it compared to the bearing that will be put in its place. So to remove these, what we're going to do is we're going to slide this shaft for the drive down, and we're going to use it to push this bushing out. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. We'll take this shaft out, flip it over, reinsert it from the top, and push the bottom bearing out. Again, we'll set it aside. From here, let's go ahead and open up our bearings. I apologize for not having these prepped, but I did want to show them to you inside the package so that you'd be able to purchase something similar, if not the same thing. One thing that you will notice is that these they're pre-lubricated, so they're going to be a little bit slippery in your hand. You can see the bearings inside the race here. Hopefully, we're going to get some focus on that. They are a little bit looser inside this housing than, let's say, the brass ones that were in there. So when we go ahead and place it in there, we don't want it to be able to just plop back out. Let's get zoomed in on that. So what we'll do, we'll take a small screwdriver and we'll just make a small impression in the plastic beside the bushing, or beside the bearing, I should say, just enough to notch that in so that it will hold the bearing race in place and not allow it to escape. Once we do that, let's try to flip it over, make sure it doesn't fall out. Seems to be held in there fairly well. Let's go ahead and we're going to do that for the top now. Take the bearing, slide it into the top. Get it planted in there fairly well. And once we have it in place, we're going to go ahead and we're also going to go ahead and notch the plastic just ever so slightly, just to ensure that that bearing is held in place. Go ahead, take our gear and a shaft, reinsert it through, bring it up and through the bearing, and we've popped our bearing back out, so I'll go ahead and slide that down on this shaft. It's a bit of a snug fit the first time. Once we have that down in there, just compress it on down. Make sure these are inserted on both sides. Again, press that bearing down into place. Notch that in. From here, we'll go ahead and reinstall our prop guard. Okay, we've gone ahead and we've replaced these brass bushings, all 8 of them, top and bottom on each prop. We're going to go ahead, put the battery in, fire it up, and see how she flies. Battery is in. We're bound. Initially, I'm going to say it does sound about the same. I don't know if it's going to have less effort required on the stick to elevate. We're going to head take a test flight. Well, there you have it. The test flight is completed. I would say that my feelings are that it will require a little bit less throttle, not only to get off the ground, and these are not huge differences in handling, but one of the things I did notice is that once I did get the copter up off the ground, keeping it stable and hovering required less input on the throttle to keep it balanced. Now, there was a little bit less wind than I've been flying in recently, but overall, I'd say even if I don't see a huge difference in handling, just knowing that we're going to be able to have a little bit more battery time potentially, and also save on our brushed motors. Brushless motors typically do have a little bit longer lifespan. These brushed motors, if treated properly, though, should get some pretty decent usage out of it. So there it is. Thumbs up. Happy flying, and see you next time.